Mornings used to be my favorite. Waking up to Arab classics blasting on a speaker and my mom clapping along to the beat made me feel very connected to my culture. But what I liked even better was the smell of freshly baked pita bread making its way to my room. I'm a first-generation immigrant of two parents from Syria. Wars and invasions on their native country forced them to flee to various places throughout their upbringing. Because of this, they always valued a broad worldview and the ability to adapt well to change. That's why they sent me and my siblings to a private French immersion school in Palo Alto through junior high. At school, conversations were centered around Colin Kaepernick. There was no longer Arabic music in the background, just like any other school in the Bay Area at the time. As much as these experiences helped me form a broad worldview, I was rather confused. It's hard enough finding your identity as a teenager. Living amidst three different cultures made me feel like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. Not knowing where I belonged made me feel lost. On top of that, all the people I looked up to came from completely different cultures. I remember asking my mom one time if she knew anyone who was a famous Arab. She had to think for a minute before telling me Shakir was half Lebanese. As an 8-year-old boy who liked soccer, Shakir was not the answer I was hoping for at all. At the time, I felt like I wasn't represented in the sports or entertainment industries. Apart from Aladdin, there was really no one to look up to. And no matter how hard I tried, I never could get my hands on a flying carpet or a monkey. I felt the pressure of having to choose one culture, conforming, and leaving all the other ones behind. I remember times where I didn't want to be seen as an outsider. So at summer camps, when we all had to say our last names, I would just change mine to Brown. It was easier that way. But looking back, I'm glad to say the Jad Brown phase of my life is over. And now, when people ask me my last name, I say it with my chest. It wasn't until high school that I got to that point, and I started spending more time developing my morals and ideas about society. I started spending time researching, and I began reading about influential leaders such as Tupac Shakur, Nipsey Hussle, and Malcolm X. My mother also told me stories about my grandfather, Abdurrahman Munif, and the support of human rights through his novels. Both of my grandpas always valued their morals over anything, and choosing principle over their safety and comfort was never even a question. Seeing how these men stood on principle helped me realize the man I wanted to be. It was a tough journey, and it didn't come overnight. I started spending time making new friends, many of whom were Polynesian. As I got to know them, I was introduced to their culture. We shared customs, shared food from each of our different cultures with each other. And we got really close. But most importantly, we started spending time discussing real issues and how we can uplift our community. When conflict arose in the Arab world, I was really grateful that my new friends attended demonstrations as if it was their own cause. When a tsunami hit Tonga, it was natural for us to help support the Tongan community by sending resources as well. Because of our shared principles, I was introduced to a whole new culture, and in return, introduced my new friends to mine. And I learned that a friendship based on the same values is much more powerful than one based on solely culture. Over time, I realized I had less interest in the superficial, one-dimensional culture I was trying so hard to fit into. And I wanted to have a real meaningful impact on society based on my unique experiences and fundamental principles. That's when I stopped trying to emulate celebrities that never fully represented me and started thinking deeper than just surface level. Before high school, I always loved music, but I never pushed myself to pursue it. With my new friends, with the same aspirations of writing songs, we pushed ourselves to rap and film music videos. And at first, we were terrible. But just like anything, success takes hard work. But to improve, I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. And for me, this meant trying different instrumentals and even trying to rap in Arabic and French. Now, I'm further than I ever thought I could be in music. And being underrepresented and growing up around many cultures were the same experiences that helped me grow the most as a person and musician. Now, I've written over 1,000 verses and spent hours on music I never released. I recorded professional studios, and I'm often 10 years younger than everyone else in the room. This taught me that my identity has nothing to do with the barriers that hold me back, but instead with how I break them. Because of my ongoing efforts to find out more about my identity, I gained a higher level of self-awareness. So now every challenge I encounter is often a guide for me of what I should attack next. Today, I know who I am. And every day as I take the steps that push me to where I want to be, and not letting aspects of societal norms define my future. These days, I talk less, read more, and listen more, all to overcome outside distractions that might hold me back. One's identity is how one chooses to make decisions. And as long as you stay true to your core values, you can do anything you set your mind to. Real fulfillment doesn't come from trying to fit in, but standing on the principles that you hold above all. Next time you run into a barrier, instead of shying the other way, I challenge you to run at it head on and attack it. With this mentality, all the weaknesses that ever held you back turn into your strengths. Barriers don't break themselves. You break them. So in the search of happiness, remember, don't chase a moment. Stand on principle and chase a life pursuit. Thank you.